1001, 1002, 1003. Hey, how you guys doing? Greg Steer here, just my normal workout with 3-pound weights. Thinking about New Year's, thinking about the resolutions that we need to make. You may be thinking about resolutions like, getting rid, like me, of that excess eggnog-induced weight, or getting your financial act together so Dave Ramsey doesn't show up on our doorstep and punch us in the face for having spent so much money on those Christmas gifts. But as we approach the new year, I want to really encourage you to take on a new challenge this year. Make a resolution to, through God's strength, build a gospel-advancing youth ministry this year. Now, what is that? A gospel-advancing ministry is one that relentlessly pursues the mission of Jesus by relationally multiplying disciples, resulting in a radical gospel transformation. It's a value-based philosophy of ministry that can be used in any youth ministry model. Now, if this appeals to you, there's 7 resolutions you should make this year. Okay, resolution number 1, to make intercessory prayer a bigger priority in your life and ministry. Make prayer the top priority. You're going to get divine traction like never before. Pray for your teens. Have them pray for their unreached friends, and a sense of God's presence, power, and purpose. Because it's going to cover your youth group like the Shekinah glory covered the temple in the Old Testament. When we make intercessory prayer the engine, not the caboose of our outreach efforts, and we let God, not our puny strategies, lead the way. Resolution number 2, equip your teens to relationally share their faith. Challenge each of your teens to start praying for 1, 2, maybe even 3 of their unreached friends. Start pursuing them with the love of God. Start persuading them with the truth of the gospel. And if they don't quite know how to share the gospel, have them download the free Dare to Share app or purchase the Dare to Share field guide for them. Better yet, get them out to the upcoming Dare to Share Live It Up tour, happening in 7 cities. And over the next 3.5 months, it's going to rock. All right, get there, get your students trained to share their faith. Resolution number 3, recruit leaders who model a passion for God, growth, and the gospel. If you want your teens to pray, relationally evangelize, grow deeper in their faith, choose student and adult leaders who pray, are growing deeper in their faith. And as Jesus reminds us in Luke 6:40, the student is not above the teacher. Everyone who's fully trained is going to be like their teacher. So choose the kinds of leaders you want the rest of your teenagers to emulate, because when they're fully trained, they're going to be like their teacher. Resolution number 4, strategically begin to multiply disciples. Now, this may seem a little daunting at first, but it's really what Jesus called us to do in Matthew 28:19. Jesus gave us what should be the ultimate resolution: to make disciples of all nations. We're to make disciples and to teach them to obey everything Jesus commanded, including the call to make disciples. But you may be thinking, is it really possible for our spastic, hormone-filled, twitchy teens to not just make but also multiply disciples? The answer is yes. Not only was I the product of a youth ministry that did this on a massive scale, I've witnessed so many youth ministries across the nation where this brand of disciple multiplication takes place very naturally and effectively. By the way, for help, check out Sun Life's awesome strategy. It's called 4-Chair Discipling. Go to 4chairdiscipling.com. Resolution number 5, to launch a bold vision to reach your community for Jesus. Now, Jesus told us that we're to be witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the uttermost parts of the world. Now, what's the equivalent of that for us? It's across the street, Jerusalem, across the tracks, Samaria, and across the world, ends of the earth. We need to have strategies that help us reach our own communities, the tougher parts of our cities, and the entire world. It all starts with your Jerusalem, though. So have you identified your cause turf? Now, what is that? It's streets to the north, south, east, and west of your church, which God is calling you to reach. Pray God gives you a vision so bold you'll have to recruit other youth groups to join those efforts, and that God will have to show up in a big way. Resolution number 6, start measuring the right things. There's an old business maxim that says you get what you measure. If you measure attendance, you get attendance. You measure money, you get money. You measure disciples made and multiplied, you'll get disciples made and multiplied. Acts 2:41 is exactly what Luke measured. He writes, those who accepted his message, speaking of Peter, were baptized, and about 3,000 were added to the number that day. The number of new believers being added to your youth group is infinitely more than how many teens are attending your youth group. I can set poodles on fire to increase my youth group numbers, and secretly, I want to. But that doesn't necessarily translate into the kind of growth we're looking for. We need to start measuring things rightly and start asking the right questions. Questions like, what percentage of my youth group came to Christ as a direct result of our youth group efforts, and how many of my teenagers are actively sharing their faith? Finally, resolution number 7, program your true priorities. Stop just saying that prayer and relational evangelism, disciples multiplication are true youth group priorities if you're not programming them in to your youth group meetings and calendar. Our ministry values are either real priorities or empty platitudes, depending on whether or not they get programmed. What are some easy ways to begin programming your priorities? Do what Mr. Bill does in Castle Rock, Colorado. Give teenagers 5 minutes every week to share stories of those that are engaging in gospel conversations. Do what Tyree Sterling does in Baltimore, Maryland. Give the gospel in every youth group meeting. Do what Aaron Boldock does in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and program prayer to reach schools and unreached friends in between worship songs. Maybe do what Kerry Evans does in Broomfield, Colorado. Regularly train your entire leadership team at what it means to build and lead a gospel advancing ministry. Anyway, here are the 7 resolutions I'm challenging every youth leader who's serious about reaching non-Christian teens anyway, to take and make this new year. By the way, if you want to dive deeper into how to do this effectively, get my brand new book, Gospelize Your Youth Ministry, as a belated Christmas gift to yourself and your adult volunteers. Happy gospel advancing a new year. It's getting messed up because I'm just looking forward to the rest of my workout. Where was I? Oh yeah, 1004, 1005, 1006.